Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about, a term that people throw around, and in some cases it's intellectual dishonesty, and in other cases it's people who are maybe diet zealots and they don't know any better, and they'll say this thing, well, this food and this, it turns to sugar and it's all the same thing, and they act as if this is a bad thing. And the reality is the only reason we are even having that discussion is due to the existence of diabetes. And what people need to understand is that the nutritional needs and things happening with people who are diabetic are specific to people who are sick, that they have a disease, okay? And type 2 diabetes, which is the vast majority, is a completely preventable disease. So if people didn't develop diabetes to begin with, which is, again, a completely and 100% lifestyle created disease, this wouldn't even be a real conversation. Why? Because it's only the elevated blood sugar that we should be concerned about in diabetics. Okay? So we need to be clear there. For everyone else, foods turning into sugar is a good thing. Okay? We need to be clear on that. It is not a negative. For example, look at me. I'm 47 years old here. I carry a decent amount of muscle at a reasonably low body fat. The amount of blood sugar and the foods converting to sugar in my bloodstream required for me to do this is extreme. And I want to be clear there. Again, I'm going to say that, compared to the average 47-year-old, I'm pretty healthy and fit. Okay? I also require arguably double or triple the amount of blood sugar in a day that they do. In order to do this, it is a requirement. So people understand that. The more fit and athletic you are and the more active you are, the more muscle you have, by far you need way, way, way more glucose. Again, we need to be clear here. Glucose, which is blood sugar, which is what people are talking about. And people always they act like all sugar is the same. Glucose is always a good thing unless you have diabetes, and it's still a great thing. And we need to be clear there. Blood glucose doesn't elevate just because you produce massive amounts of it. And that's hard for people to get their heads around because there's so much talk of diabetes. All right, I want to be clear. Your body producing enormous amounts of blood sugar is not an unhealthy or a bad thing in any way. It's normal and natural for healthy people. It is the primary fuel source of our body. Some of the cells in our body require it no matter what, meaning primary, meaning it's preferred for almost everything. But, fats and things can be burned, but some of your cells absolutely require it. Brain tissue, nerve tissue, all of that requires it. Your faster twitch muscle fibers, anything related to anaerobic performance, they require it. You cannot burn fat as a high output fuel source. So, and people need to understand that those are your only two options. There are only two things that your cells in your body can use for fuel. There are only two, that's it. Glucose, which is blood sugar, that's our primary, and lipids and ketones, so fats, is a secondary. We can't burn anything else. Those are our only fuel sources. Now, people will argue well, in theory, ethanol and, alcohol, okay, yeah, fine. But under normal conditions, because we're not consuming those things under normal conditions anywhere historically. Like, it's not a natural part of our diet. This is something we've created, a poison. But it's a good thing. The elevated blood sugar means that there's something happening metabolically with your insulin sensitivity, insulin production, to where your body isn't regulating the blood sugar. What do we mean by regulating? Putting it into your cells, okay? Blood sugar is what we use for fuel. We're dead in a very short period of time without it, okay? I want to be clear. Without it, you're unconscious within seconds. You're dead within minutes. It's like, this would be like saying oxygen is a bad thing. Don't breathe that oxygen. Your lungs will turn on fire. They'll burn out. Well, we require oxygen, and if we run out of it, we're unconscious within seconds. It's the same thing. We're dead within minutes. You need to understand that is sugar is in that same category, literally. All right, when you have elevated blood sugar, it's not because we created more blood sugar. You're going to create it anyways. It means that your body is not transporting it into your cells as fuel correctly. That is a diseased condition. Your body is malfunctioning. Okay? For a small percentage of people, they're born type 1 diabetic, and before the creation of insulin, they just simply died from it at a fairly young age. Okay? They just died. Type 2 is from people eating garbage and getting obese. Obesity is the number one cause, but obviously insulin resistance through excessive refined fructose intake, fat intake, all these things, saturated fat intake, right? But type 2 diabetes can be controlled by losing the body weight and eating a healthier diet. Eventually get off the medications. But the point is, this is not the concern. And then the reason people are concerned with sugar, the table sugar, is not because of the glucose. It's the fructose. And fructose is again, a whole different topic. I've done multiple videos on fructose metabolism, why in excess it's a problem. We can't use fructose as fuel. Our body has multiple processes to turn it into glucose. So people say, it all turns to sugar. Well, that does too, yeah. Half the protein you eat turns into sugar. I mean, ultimately, the only way a person is going to not convert the foods they're eating into sugar is if they eat a nearly zero carbohydrate diet, a very, very low protein diet, and just live on fat. And please note that that sort of deep ketogenic diet is not optimal for health in any way. All right? It is medically used to treat certain conditions. So when people make these statements, it's all turning to sugar, well, what is your option? Are you people going to live on nothing but oil? You're going to live on a diet of butter and oil with a little bit of protein? Because the protein turns into sugar too. But then see, if they don't eat some of it, they die because they can't get enough glucose to even fuel their brain. So that's the ironic part to that. So again, this is just an absurd comment and misinformation that people make. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.